Do you want to know how to plan your workday more effectively so that you get more done, you feel happier, and you are more motivated? Today, that is what we are talking about. So today, we are talking about how to plan your workday effectively to get more done, to feel happier, to be more motivated. I have over the years done tons of research into what does the brain science say about increasing your productivity, your motivation. Today, I'm going to share my top tips, the top 8 things that I do in my day to be more productive and to feel more motivated. Here are my favorite ways to plan your workday effectively, starting with number 1. My first tip is to start your day early. And by that, I don't mean early for your office, I mean early, earlier than everyone else. Part of the reason that I do this, and it is corroborated by the research, is that the earlier you start, the better chance you have of not being interrupted by other people, by emails, by distractions. It's a really good time in your day to be able to focus, to get into flow, to get more done. All of the research shows, including research on Darwin, on Churchill, on Kennedy, all the greats used to get up really early, and there's lots of great research that shows that people who start their day right around 5 or so actually get the most done between the hours of 5 and 9 a.m. Now, this is one of the tricks that I use so that I give myself the best time, the best energy, and my best brain-based self to the tasks that I want to get done. Okay, so you've started your day early. What should you start with? In order to be more productive, the best thing to do is to start your day with the thing you want to get done that day. This is sort of counterintuitive, or it's against what a lot of people do. A lot of people start with menial tasks, thinking that what they're going to do is work their way up to the big thing, their big priority for the day. However, what we know is that motivation, energy, stamina, and willpower all go to 0 over the course of your day. So if you want your best brain self to work on the big priority of the day, it's best to start your day with the big thing. Don't start with email, don't start with menial tasks. Start with the thing you want to get done right away. You're up early, you've started with the big thing you want to get done. The next key piece of insight is to make sure to give yourself breaks. One of the things we've talked a lot about on my channel is the idea that your brain actually doesn't have an unrequited amount of ability to pay attention. What it does have is something closer to about 45 minutes of working attention span before it really starts to go into a stress response and need a break. We call this the ultradian cycle. What it means is that you are in fact operating in about 45-minute cycles followed by a 15-minute break, maximum of 20 minutes total. So what I want you to do is think of your day not like a marathon, but like a series of sprints. This helps break your day up. It also helps with your motivation, your productivity, and it decreases the body's stress response. So make sure that you are taking breaks at least every 45 minutes or so. Now that you've planned to take breaks, the question is, what should I do on my breaks to make sure that I'm really productive when I get back to work? One of the key things to do is in fact to drink caffeine. Caffeine, there is such a thing as too much, but has been proven to help neural function, focus, and flow. So if you want to be more productive, on your breaks, which should be about 15 to 20 minutes, make sure to have a little bit of caffeine. There's something else you can do. Make sure that when you take your breaks, you're actually physically moving around a little bit. Movement is like magic to the brain, and what it helps do is exercise your knowledge, learning, and memory networks. It helps with creativity and innovation, especially if you're like me, you're a knowledge worker or you're using your brain throughout your day. It is really important to move around a little bit on your break. My next brain-based tip for you to be more productive throughout your day is something that I do often. It sounds kind of antisocial, but this is to work on my own as much as possible. Here's why. It is very hard often, and it's highly distracting to work productively when I can hear what other people are talking about, when they feel like they can come and ask me questions, when what they're up to or what they're saying is highly distracting for me. If I really want to be productive and not get frustrated and not feel like my day is lagging, I actually try to make sure that there are periods of time that I'm working completely by myself. Another way that I plan my work day, but as well as my work week, is I have something called No Meeting Mondays. I actually instituted this not when I was in my own business, but when I was working in corporate life. And what I would require was that on Monday, I would have no meetings at all. This is a lot like the concept we've talked about a lot on my channel around setting healthy boundaries, not letting other people prioritize your time, your energy, your tasks. Here's what No Meeting Mondays helps with. It allows that the first day in your week is doing the things you want to get done. It allows that you have time to prepare properly for the meetings that will come on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and it allows that you can get a jump start on the highest priorities for you in your week. So, see about what you can do to institute No Meeting Mondays. Another tip that you can use to be more productive and plan your workday more effectively is not to check emails continually. Now, I've admitted before that I'm very bad at this. I will often just leave my inbox open and answer emails as they come in. This is one of the cardinal errors of productive people. Highly productive people very often will even set an out of office notice so that people do know, understand, and expectations are set that they only check emails a couple of times a day. So here's a tip that I need to remember and that you can use to plan your workday even more effectively. And that is to set times when you will check email, but otherwise turn that inbox off. Tip number 8 for planning your workday most effectively based on the research is this. See what you can do to plan tomorrow at the end of your day. This is something that I do. At the end of my day, my very last task of the day is to plan tomorrow as meticulously as possible. Elsewhere on my channel, I've talked about putting a task list into a schedule so that my time is also organized. But what I do in my day is make sure that tomorrow is planned right now so that I know what the resources are, what the logical order is, so that when I go into my evening and during my sleep cycles, I can actually start working on tomorrow's activities. The next thing you can do to plan your workday effectively, this is something that I instituted a couple of years ago and works really well, and it's this. Instead of starting my day with a workout and using my best energy and my best willpower and stamina and motivation in the gym, instead what I do is I treat my workout like a reward for a day well done. Secondly, what we know from the research is that this allows that my best energy, my best brained self goes to work right away on what I need to perform at or what I need to do that day. And then at the very end of my day is when I'm burning up the last of my energy. This also has advantages for energy management because what it allows is that when my biggest meal of the day is in fact dinner, this is okay because my body needs it. In fact, it just worked out, and that's when your biggest meal should be. So what I've done, and works for very many people, is to reorganize when you work out in your day. Instead of starting with your best brain self in the gym, start with your best brain self at work and use your workout like a reward to burn off the last of your energy in your day. In fact, I think of my workout as my very last thing I have to do every day. The last brain-based tip for planning your workday effectively is this: don't work in the evening. If you've put a full day behind you, your evening should be time for work-life balance. It should be time when you do your living. It should be time when you actually relax. What this allows is that your workday has a known end. And especially if you're like me and you work in your own company, or if you are constantly being berated and barraged with emails as an example, your day has to come to an end at some point. If you set the expectation that at the end of your workday, at the close of business, or when you leave the office, your day is done, you'll have a lot better balance. You'll be much more motivated tomorrow, you'll be much more productive tomorrow, and you'll be much more likely to thwart burnout. My final tip number 10, is that in the evening, you do not work. You give yourself opportunity, time to relax, live your life, enjoy, and prepare psychologically and mentally for tomorrow. For more brain-based tips, tricks, and tools for increasing your productivity and motivation, please subscribe. We come out with videos just about every day.